there, it's Mark again from Spinscape, here today to talk to you a little bit about how you can use Spinscape as a flashcard system and also how you can use Spinscape to remember different topics by using mnemonics. So the first thing I have here is I have a Spinscape map that I used to actually write the blog that goes along with this. So we can see the different subheadings that I wrote under. So I have an introduction, and if we look inside introduction, you can see the actual text that's in the blog. And whenever I write, I use Spinscape. I use it as a visual outline, and it can be really helpful in organizing your thoughts. And then you export, and you can basically publish just by cutting and pasting your export. So, but really, what I wanted to talk to you about today is how you can use mnemonics to remember a particular topic. And today the topic is going to be something that we use a lot in computer science, but that you may never have heard of, or if you have heard of it, there's a pretty good chance that you've forgotten bits and pieces of it, so hopefully this will be a good review for you. So we're going to learn a little bit about something that's called the OSI model. And the OSI model basically takes you through how a software application will talk to all the different layers all the way up to hardware. So when you're a user and you interface with an application, that's one layer, and then there's different conceptual layers that that communication will go through all the way down to the physical layer, which is the hardware. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to help you remember the seven different layers within the OSI model. So the first step is we're going to start with something that we all know how to do, and that is count to 7. So once we have that done, what we're going to do is we're going to take each one of those numbers and we're going to relate it to an object. And to make it easier, we're going to relate it to objects that are rhymes of the number. And so you'll be able to see that in a second. It'll be a little more clear. But what we have is 1 bun. Okay, so this is kind of nursery rhyme-esque. We have 2 is a shoe. 3 we're going to relate to tree. 4 is door. 5 is hive. 6 is sticks. And 7 is heaven. So if we go through this again, we got 1 bun, 2 shoe, 3 tree, 4 door, 5 hive, 6 sticks, and 7 heaven. Sometimes people refer to this as the pegboard system because we have these numbers that fill slots or holes in the pegboard, and then you're going to associate it with a different object. So the first layer that we're going to look at has to do with 1 bun. And so what we'll do is we'll associate this with a picture. And in this case, we got 1 bun, and we have a picture of a bun that is getting makeup applied to it. So we're applying makeup to a bun. Application is the first layer, the application layer. So applying makeup, application layer. And the rest are going to go similarly. So we have 2 is a shoe. So we have a picture of a shoe in a gift box. Okay, so 2 shoe, and really what this is it's a present. So 2 shoe is a present, and what we have is the presentation layer. So 1 was bun, application. 2 is a present, it's the presentation layer. Now we're going to continue along with one that may seem a little goofy to you, but sometimes with these mnemonic devices, the goofier the better. So what we have is 3 tree, and you can see we have a tree here, but the tree has a wig that a judge might wear, and you have a gavel. So to remember this one, I think of this 3 tree and the judge as court being in session. So remember, we got the judge here, and we're going to think court is in session. So the third layer is the session layer. So 3 tree is session. And again, sometimes the goofier ones, the stranger ones, will click in your mind, and you'll be able to remember those over some of the simpler ones. Now 4 door, what we're going to do here is we're going to take a screenshot from the movie Monsters, Inc. And if you saw the movie Monsters, Inc., you know that these monsters use these doors to transport themselves from their area into another room where kids are, and they can scare the kids. So for door is going to be transport. Again, we're going to remember that the doors are going to transport the monsters. So for door transport layer. Now when we get to 5, 5 is pretty easy. 5 is a hive. And what we've done with the hive is we've created a network. So you can see all these different hives are connected. And so we got 5 hive, and it's the network layer. So 5 hive network. And if you take a second to actually look at the pictures, your mind will remember them. We know that 70 to 80% of people on the planet are visual learners, and it seems like it's a lot easier once you take this mental image of the picture to remember the associations. So now we're going to go to 6 sticks. Now if you have a technical bone in your body, you've probably seen something called a memory stick. And so what we've done is we've taken the idea of a memory stick, and a memory stick is usually just a USB device you plug into your computer, and it offers storage for data. So you can see that we have a bunch of memory sticks actually made out of sticks in this case, and you can see these 1s and 0s that represent data. So 6 sticks is the data layer. So if we do a real quick recap here, we have 1 bun. Remember, it was the bun with the application of makeup. 2 is shoe, and remember the shoe is a presentation layer. 3 was a tree, and remember this is the tree that is the judge, and we're saying court is in session, so it's the session layer. 4 was a door. This is our Monsters Inc. reference, and the door transports the monsters, so it's the transport layer. And then we have 5 hive. It's a network of hives, so it's the network layer. 6 was sticks. Remember, this is the memory sticks, and this memory sticks contain data. And then finally we have 7 heaven. Now there's a couple different ways we can think of this one. Some people will look at this and they'll say, wow, that's a really physically fit God, hence the physical layer. Other people can look at this and they can say, you know what, when you're in heaven, you no longer need your physical body. So either way, whatever works for you, mnemonics is all about plugging in a visual image into your brain and making a connection that works for you. So 7 is heaven, and it's the physical layer. Remember, either a physically fit God or you no longer need your physical body. Now these are all just suggestions. There's probably a million other ways you could use mnemonics to remember these 7 items. But one of the things that I'd like to kind of leave you with is the fact that you can use Spinscape as a flashcarding system, and a system that will really help you remember these mnemonic devices. Now one way to use it as a flashcarding system is a lot like I've just been showing, where you have a topic and you expand it to find the answer. So we have the picture of the bun, and you say, okay, what layer is that? And then you expand it and you can say, okay, that's the application layer. Likewise, like I did with shoe, you say 2 is a shoe. Now what was that again? Okay, I see the shoe is in the gift box. Okay, that was a present. Let's check to see if I'm right. Yes, it's the presentation layer. But a way that I'll usually use this with my daughter, or when I'm trying to remember something, is I'll put the answer within the note itself. So I'll look at this thing and I'll say, okay, what was this again? I think it was the application layer, and I can click on the notes field and I can see what the answer is. So this works really well with students in helping them remember. I was helping my daughter with her Explorers a test last year. She had to know 30 different explorers, and what we did was we created some mnemonics. We created some names, and we put answers inside the node just like this. And so what I did to start with is I pinned it open like this so she could get kind of the whole picture. She could get either the name and the location, or the location with the name underneath it. And once she was ready to be tested, then I would unpin this, and then we would go through and we would test, and then whenever she was ready to see if she was right or not, she would click on the notes, that little notes tab here, to see if she got it right.